It was one of the old ones and it had been closed off for maintenance. It was also one of the regions that the Wonderland gang utilized for their games. It was called Wonderland in the criminal underground. The whole park had been redesigned to fit the theme of Alice in Wonderland, and it was an extremely dangerous place for intruders. The Wonderland gang was an organization themed after Lewis Carroll's famous story Alice in Wonderland. It was led by a lunatic named Mad Hatter, who had been obsessed with the story from a young age. It was one of the newer gangs that appeared in the last 2 years and weren't particularly smart or strong. They had been easily defeated, and most criminal masterminds would only utilize them, not consider them equal. But recently they got a boost. They got a mysterious masked woman joining them, called White Rabbit. Unlike the rest of them, she was elusive like a ghost and easily slipped through everyone. She had been playing with Bat Family for months and none had caught her. She had broken villains out of multiple prisons, forcing more work for the heroes, and it only seemed to amuse her. Even now she was sitting on the Ferris wheel while watching the battle below between the two forces. Wonderland gang was fighting against Nightwing, Batgirl and Batwoman. It seems Batman was busy somewhere else, which wasn't hard to imagine since he had a lot of work. It was 8 versus 3, with the gang having the home base advantage. But they were still losing fast. Naruto thought about it, and decided to make Wonderland gang one of the hero teams under him. They were better than the average goon, so they could fight together. He didn't put much importance on the gang except White Rabbit. She had powers. Without any further thought, Naruto and Conan landed on the battlefield. White Rabbit was caught by Naruto before he landed with her in his grasp. She looked very slippery, but Naruto covered her in his chakra, immobilizing her completely while the rest of them were immobilized by Conan with a shower of paper. The woman in his hand was truly irresistible, and she knew it. White Rabbit had long white hair and pink eyes. She was wearing a seductive white rabbit costume. Naruto could smell pheromones emanating from her that caused people to hallucinate and become eager to please the owner. Naruto wasn't distracted by such things, and her powers of seduction didn't work on him. He started the usual and found that her real name was Jaina. Jaina Hudson was born to the American diplomat Tom Hudson and his wife, a Bollywood actress. At the age of 9, the family moved from India to Gotham City. Since that time, she visited some private schools. Years later, Jaina became a charity fundraiser organizer and met Bruce Wayne at a charity function for relief in Pakistan. The two flirted with one another and agreed to go on a date. However, Bruce's responsibilities as Batman prevented him from seeing Jaina, who was secretly the White Rabbit. White Rabbit made her first criminal appearance at a breakout of Arkham Asylum. She teased Batman and the Gotham City Police Department before running off into the corridors. It soon became clear that Batman had never witnessed the woman before, and had Alfred Pennyworth attempt to locate her in particular, while he tracked and detained the other escapees. Responding to a tip-off about the location of the Joker, Batman entered a speeding train and found a host of dead clown thugs in the alluring White Rabbit. Batman chased her for answers, but when he finally found her in a compartment, the villainess was draped over the Joker. A fight broke out between Batman and Joker, only for the clown to reveal himself to be Clayface in disguise. After the reveal, the fight was finished off as Clayface toppled over and landed on Batman. Whilst the hero was stuck, White Rabbit sensually stroked his face as she prepared to inject him with a dangerous super steroid, but before she was able to do the deed, was interrupted by the Flash. Later, White Rabbit led Batman to a confrontation with Scarecrow and Bane. Escaping, White Rabbit returned to Jaina's home, and they combined into a single person. Jaina had the power of biofission. It allowed her to duplicate herself into two beings, a second version of herself and White Rabbit. This power caused some physical changes in White Rabbit, such as her skin tone getting lighter and her hair becoming white. Once the duplication takes place, Jaina and White Rabbit become completely separate individuals, with their own personalities and opinions. Jaina herself was a nice person that was trying to help Gotham City in her own way, killing the criminals and edging Batman to change. She had the perfect life and didn't need to do such things, but this was her love for the city and the people. But the White Rabbit persona was a playful bitch that enjoyed messing with others. She did go through with the real goal, but in a completely different manner. In a way, White Rabbit wasn't really a villain and she had never killed innocent civilians. She had killed criminal thugs in hundreds. Her ability gave White Rabbit enhanced stats. She could seduce and manipulate weaker beings. She could also transform and control rabbits. She could teleport short distances and slip through any block. Naruto had caught her because he was on another level F speed, so she hadn't even registered his presence yet. Naruto put her to sleep and sent her to the base. White Rabbit and Jaina could exist alone indefinitely, so he will just have a talk with Jaina later and inform her that White Rabbit would be serving from now on. Finished with the woman, Naruto went to work on the rest. He read the two plump-looking guys called Dumfrey Tweed and Deaver Tweed. They were also known as Tweedledee and Tweedledum. These two were fat, bald guys. Dumfrey wore a top hat and was the smart one, while his cousin wore a helicopter cap. During their first crime in Gotham City, Deaver stole jewels from an important store, while his cousin Dumfrey stole a clothing store. When Batman and Robin located their hideout, Deaver and Dumfrey were stopped and captured by the dynamic duo. They had a short criminal career before joining the Wonderland gang. They were just the typical criminals that wanted money and material things. They had no obsession and desire to kill people. Naruto gave them a small punishment and gave them the instructions to become a hero team, and he would pay them for their services after they pay off their debts. Moving from the two, Naruto came in contact two buff guys. These two were the real muscle of the group. One was a tanned guy with brown eyes and short black hair, beard and mustache. He was Louis Yarnell, also called the Lion. The other guy had long blonde hair and blue eyes. He wore a helmet on his head with a horn. He was Skitch Benson, known as the Unicorn. Both of them were career thugs and enforcers. They joined the Wonderland gang together when they stole $200,000 in cash from the Empire Bank, and because of their signature trademark, a stylized rendering of the lion and the unicorn. They were typical thug-like guys with better shape and experience. They also didn't have much crime on their hands, but they had killed people just like the rest of them. Naruto gave them the education before moving on. The next guy was also buff and tall. He had red hair and green eyes. He wore orange and brown skin suit with a metallic face mask that had two large tusks. He was Mo Blum, also known as the Walrus. Mo Blum was known to be an enforcer for the Black Mask, but was forced to find other work when the man was captured. He was enlisted by Mad Hatter to join their gang as one of their muscles. Among all of them, he was the strongest physically. He was a typical villain that found no life in the normal world. He lacked skills and knowledge to succeed and live a good life, so he chose the criminal world where he could use his physique and power. He had always been the bully and joined gangs from a young age. To him, this was just a job, and he just wanted to make enough money to live a happy life later. He had killed many people for others and had gotten used to it. It didn't even register to him anymore, and he casually pulled the trigger or smashed people's head. Naruto gave him the punishment and commands like the rest before moving to the next target. Next target was a beautiful tanned woman with long black hair and green eyes. She was strong and attractive. It seems majority of the villains and heroes were good-looking. The woman was wearing workshop attire with power tools as her weapons. She was Jenna Duffy, also known as the Carpenter. Jenna Duffy was a pickpocket and con artist operating out of Keystone City who moved to Gotham when she attracted unwanted police attention. Eventually, she was enlisted by the Wonderland Gang. As part of the Wonderland Gang, she participated on a bank robbery and fought against Robin, who defeated her with no trouble. After this, Duffy and the gang were arrested by the police. Duffy left active villainy in favor of working as an actual carpenter. Though she tried some work in Keystone City, she returned to Gotham when that dried up, taking jobs from a variety of supervillains, among them the trio of Catwoman, Harley Quinn, and Poison Ivy, building lairs for extremely high prices. The gang came looking for her when they got out, and she joined them because of Mad Hatter's mind control chip. She was not really a villain and just wanted to make a living. She had changed and was just doing jobs using her carpentry and architect skills. Looking at her memories, Naruto could see that she had the attention of very dangerous people and could easily get killed. He also needed an architect on his team since he wasn't an expert. Naruto cleared the chip and sent her to his base. She didn't need punishment since she had already turned a new leaf and never really participated in killings. Finally, only the two main people were left. March Hare and the Mad Hatter were the main core of the gang, while the rest had joined later and weren't really close. March Hare was Harriet Pratt. She wore a sexual rabbit-themed dress with black ears that could release a shock. Harriet Pratt was born and raised in East London, where she met and fell in love with a woman named Lily Shaw. When they were adults, Harriet and Lily moved to the United States, hoping to start a new life there. The couple would get by through stealing jewels and other valuable goods. This changed when the two were given jobs as escorts at a club owned by businessman William Warren. One night, the couple went backstage where they discovered a new white noise machine created by Warren, which would be able to control the minds of people. Harriet and Lily decided to steal the devices, but were soon met by the arrival of a strange small man. This strange man was being chased by Warren's security. The man was able to escape, but both girls were shot and left for dead by the security. Harriet was saved and nursed back to health by the small man who revealed to be Jervis Tetra, the enemy of Batman known as the Mad Hatter. He told her that Warren had stolen the devices from him and so wanted revenge on the businessman just as Harriet did. Few days later, Harriet took on the mantle of March Hare as part of Jervis's Wonderland-themed gang and attacked Warren's complex. Warren was on a business trip, however, so Jervis and Harriet killed his entire staff instead and began a criminal career together. She was a beautiful young woman with blonde hair and blue eyes. She had gotten used to robbing and killing after the start of her career as March Hare. She was satisfied working with Mad Hatter and actually loved him, so they were also a couple. Naruto gave her the full treatment, torture for the lives she had taken. Mad Hatter, the leader of the group, was a small old man with red hair and blue eyes. He wore a black suit with a top hat and carried a cane. Tetch, growing up, never had any friends due to his appearance. His whole life he had been in love with the works of Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, and Through the Looking Glass, especially the Mad Tea Party chapter. In adulthood, he became a neuroscientist working for Wayne Enterprises, where he invented circuitry that can control minds. Jervis lived in a boarding house owned by Ella Littleton. There he befriended Ella's daughter, Connie Littleton, and her friends in her high school. A few years later, Connie became pregnant. Fearing the reaction of her extremely strict mother, Connie lied to her and claimed she had been raped by someone on her school's baseball team. Ella approached Tech for help and convinced him that the Gotham Hawks were bad kids. Tech agreed to use his mind control technology on a member of the team, making him use a pipe bomb to kill the other players. Although this was Tech's first known criminal act, his involvement in the locker room bombing would not be discovered until years later. At one point, Jervis lost his mind and becoming obsessive, delusional, and schizophrenic. He went to crime, modeling himself after the Mad Hatter, his most loved character from his beloved Alice in Wonderland, and wielding his vast genius and mind control tech. He started kidnapping young girls to be Alice's in his tea parties before selling them to slavery, but he was stopped by Batman and was arrested. The courts found Jervis insane and sent him to Arkham Asylum. Despite Jervis's kind facade, he was one of the asylum's most dangerous inmates. He would be pleasant at one moment and then homicidal at another. Jervis, in attempts to make friends, would be kind to the other inmates, like sneaking a pet plant to poison ivy. Like the other rogues, Tech managed to escape Arkham on numerous occasions. Seeing that the man was insane, Naruto fixed his mind and let him watch everything through a sane mind while also giving him the view from the other side. The man was intelligent and very useful, unlike what he initially thought. Naruto was going to use the gang as a throwaway team, but it seems the Hatter could become a good hero. Naruto tortured them all and gave them the commands to become heroes from the current moment. He gave them a boost, making them above human level, and healed all their injuries. Mad Hatter became taller and little bit muscular after he was done. With the transformation done, Naruto sent them to the base in one of the ghost towns. He gave it to them for usage and even transferred things from the park with them. Finishing up with the criminals, Naruto returned to human speed and the heroes finally reacted to what was happening. They were restrained by paper and couldn't move a single muscle. Naruto introduced himself like usual and praised their skills while giving them an invitation. He told them what happened and what to expect in a few days. Naruto also gave them a taste of his senjutsu chakra, healing all their injuries and giving them peace of mind. If you decide to work for me, I will enhance your powers above your current state by a considerable margin. All these normal villains and criminals are things that the law can take care of, if things operated in an optimum manner. I will just fix up the place and you wouldn't find a reason to fight in this city anymore. The previous criminals and the police force will make sure the city is clean. These are things you could have done. Are you afraid of change? Are you afraid of being replaceable? There isn't a need for heroes on this level, when there are so many powerful heroes above. The only worry should be powerful villains and outside threats. Am I wrong with this statement? Regardless, I intend to make it that way, and I hope you can watch without any bias. Naruto finished up with those words as he patted Batgirl on the face. She reacted a lot to his words, and the same went for Nightwing. With that, Naruto and Conan disappeared, leaving the heroes alone in the park. Any clue? Nightwing asked Batgirl as she had become a master of information for the past 2 years. She had been paralyzed from the waist down because of the Joker, and had become the Oracle. Oracle gathered information and used it for the good. She led the team called Birds of Prey while Nightwing led the Titans. Titans operated in a different state, while Birds of Prey were separated to handle some personal things at the moment, leaving Batgirl alone in Gotham. On the other hand, Batwoman was a lone fighter before joining the Bat family. She was Bruce Wayne's cousin, Kate Kane, and she became Batwoman to help out the city when Batman had disappeared for months after his battle with Bane, where he broke his back. Nothing, I have never heard of him. Barbara shook her head as she tried to find any connection while her companions did the same. All of them were good detectives and fountains of knowledge. It was one thing common amongst the Bat family adults. Just then, they got a call from Batman to assemble. The city had returned to a calm state, and the new character was powerful and unknown. Batman called a meeting because of it, and especially because of Catwoman's insistence, since the man would usually think over things alone. Naruto and Conan continued their journey across Gotham, fixing things. With their super speed, they covered all of it and finished up majority of the criminals in a single night. It was an easy job with the use of memory reading ability, or they would have taken a long time to take out the hidden ones. Once they were finished, the city felt better as majority of the evil had been taken care of. Now, only the people needed to adjust after the changes start affecting the world. Naruto predicted that within a month, the city would have lost the dark clouds and become a bright city filled with heroism. Finished with the task, Naruto and Conan teleported to the base where his guests were sleeping. Conan had been following him for hours and he had done a miraculous job. She was honestly beyond shocked. He was truly impressive. You have exceeded my expectations, Emperor. But can you replicate the same in a city where you have actual resistance? Conan said as she walked beside him to the room where he had put Mr. Freeze. The base was filled with greenery and this greenery was protecting them from the outside world. Conan was impressed, but the reality of Akatsuki was that they had been in a world with intense resistance. They didn't have the sweet ease of handling cities like Gotham, because those cities would have hired powerful ninja to fight against them, undoing all their efforts. Naruto understood her concern, and he wasn't proud of this simple act. It was an easy job. The real problem would be the cities with powerful beings that could take him out or give him a challenge. Patience. I have confidence in repeating the same in those cities. It will just take longer and require more effort. Naruto replied with a calm tone as he looked at his partner. He had taken care of Gotham because it was possible and it would help him see the reactions of other forces. He didn't like making compromises and sacrifices when it came to the innocent people. Conan expected some hesitation, but this tone and confidence brought some light to her eyes and some confusion in her heart. She didn't know if she wanted to see him successful or not. I see. I look forward to that D-Day. Conan gave a nod and turned around. Thank you for the vote of confidence. Naruto smirked as he turned around and entered the room to find his new servant while Conan roamed the new base. It was basic and lacked the equipment for now, but it was protected and very comfortable. Entering the room where temperature was well below zero, Naruto found his new servant unconscious in the middle of the room wearing his metallic suit. The man was a villain, but his reason wasn't wrong. He was lost and misguided, and sadly continued to fall. He was human, but Naruto could use him. Victor Freeze was a genius and Naruto loved using ice. As a child, Victor Freeze was fascinated by freezing animals as a hobby he developed to escape the pressures of his brutal control-freak father. His parents, horrified by his hobby, sent him to a strict boarding school where he was miserable, feeling detached from humanity. That winter, when the other children went home for the holidays, Victor discovered that his parents had disowned him. He was thought of as an embarrassment, a mistake to be filed away and forgotten, and he never saw them again. In college, he felt that he may never feel a warm touch, but then came Nora, a beautiful athlete, with whom he fell deeply in love with and ultimately married. He later got a job teaching cryogenics at the local college. Nora later fell terminally ill with a rare cancer. Fries left teaching and took on a job working for a large drug company called GothCorp, run by the ruthless Ferris Boyle, so he could find a cure. Using his great intellect and passion for cryogenics, Fries discovered a way to put Nora into cryostasis using company equipment, hoping to sustain her until a cure could be found. Boyle found out about the experiment and canceled the funding, but Freeze continued with the project, leaving Boyle in huge debt. Boyle attempted to have Nora brought out of stasis and overruled Fry's frantic objections, during which a struggle ensued. As a result, Fries became engulfed in his own cryogenic coolants and was left for dead. Fries survived, but the chemicals had altered his body chemistry and his body temperature was lowered dramatically. He could now only survive at sub-zero temperatures. Freeze escaped, unnoticed, with the frozen Nora. In hiding, he invented a special refrigeration suit to stay alive and used cryonic technology to create a powerful gun which fired a beam that froze any target within its range. With this technology, he became a criminal called Mr. Freeze with a taste for diamonds and revenge. In his path to save his wife, he had killed countless people and lost all sign of humanity. The problem itself wasn't even hard to solve by the standards of Naruto's world and especially the current world. Batman could have easily solved the problem, but somehow never did. Naruto wondered if the Bat was insane or narrow-minded that he never even cured the cause of some of his enemies. Naruto could solve the problem for Victor, but for now he intended to use it as a reward. He wanted the man to suffer for the damage he had caused. Reading the memories of Victor, Naruto had already placed some safety measurements on the man's wife by sending a clone. With that done, Naruto deactivated the seals on Victor's body that were forcing him into unconsciousness. The sleepiness disappeared instantly, and Victor moved calmly to a sitting position. He didn't react violently, just logically. He understood his position very quickly. The pale man looked at his kidnapper with a curious gaze, trying to find his motives and identity. "How can I help you?" Victor asked, as that was the only reason someone would kidnap him. Naruto smiled as he looked at him. "Many things, Victor. I need your help with researching thermal manipulation and creating suits to counteract the elements. You are a smart man, and that is why you sit before me." Naruto replied in neutral tone as he was seated on an ice throne. Victor expected as much. "Do you have the necessary resources? And what is my compensation?" Victor was a cold man. He didn't mind working for others, but he never worked for free. He needed money and resources to save his wife. "Do you deserve any compensation?" Victor's eyes hardened at those words. "I am not scared of death or torture." "Ha ha, those are words uttered by a man that hasn't met my kind of people. You will definitely be scared of torture, Victor. That is a fact." Naruto gave a disdainful laugh as he stood up while Victor found ice crawling up his body. He looked at those red orbs and understood that the client was dangerous. Naruto walked closer to him and looked down. "Victor, I am the emperor of mankind and you are a criminal. You lost your rights on the day you took an innocent life. The only reason you are alive is because I intend to give everyone a second chance. You will serve me and I will decide when to compensate you for your services. Don't look at me like that, as you might end making me serious about the torture. Yes, you will suffer for what you have done. I am not going to let you off with a pat on your back, Victor. You should be ashamed of what you have become. Are you the person that Nora loved?" "Of course not, you are something she despises." Victor glared at Naruto. "Stop this nonsense. You know nothing about sweet Nora." "But I do. Victor, I have read you and I have read her. I can bring her back, Victor." Naruto replied with a smile and a whisper of a utopia. His words stopped Victor in his tracks. "What?" "I can bring her back with a snap of my fingers just like that. But I want you to change and pay your debt. Change yourself, Victor, and greet Nora as a good man that she loved." Those words broke through the cold man. Everything in his life revolved around his wife. For her, he would do anything. The sweet memories slipped through the cracks and he couldn't help but tear up as hope filled his heart. Logically, he had no reason to believe him, but his heart didn't listen. "I will do anything for you if you can bring her back. But if you lie to me, I will drag you down to hell for this cruel game." Victor spoke up and there was a fire in his eyes for the first time in years. He finally had some hope to reunite with his sweet Nora. "I like that spirit, and don't worry, you will meet Nora soon, as I would save any innocent life when I can. For now, go to sleep and feel the pain you have caused this world." Naruto placed his hand on Victor's bald head and poured ice chakra into his system. Victor was highly compatible with ice, and with the inclusion of chakra, his DNA mutated further and he grew in power. Victor developed ice abilities and super stats. Before he could indulge in the comfortable and safe feeling, Victor was dragged into his punishment. Leaving Victor unconscious once again, Naruto went to a much more comfortable room where he had placed Jason. The young man of just 18 was asleep on the bed, forced into unconsciousness by the seals on his skin. He was a muscular man wearing a black suit with a red hood and a brown leather jacket. He had multiple guns on hand and other weapons. Naruto took a seat as he gathered his thoughts about his target. He had already read the memories and was going through them properly. Jason Todd was the son of Catherine Elizabeth and Willis Todd, and was conceived unexpectedly in an alleyway. Jason had a troubled childhood due to his parents constantly arguing. His mother suffered from depression and drug addiction, and his father had been showing him the ropes of thievery and conning at a young age, which led him into trouble. Once when he was a child, Jason's father stole tickets to Haley's Circus from an old couple in a parking lot, and took Jason to see the show. That was the first time Jason ever saw Dick Grayson, and was positively awed by him. When Bruce Wayne returned to Gotham and began his career as Batman, one of his first missions was stopping a group of masked criminals called the Red Hood Gang, led by Red Hood 1. Following this, Batman would battle the Riddler, in a confrontation that led to all of Gotham City's power being shut off right before a massive hurricane, crippling the city in what would be known as the 0 year. Jason Todd, a teenager at the time struggling to support his drug-addicted mother in Gotham's Park Row, fought for survival as Gotham went feral. When Jason's best friend Chris gave him the mask of a deceased Red Hood gang member to join in the gang's revival and become who he wanted to be, Jason agreed, giving himself the name Red Hood 4. On the night of the gang's revival, Jason, wanting to be a hero, tried to stop a fight between some gang members and a mysterious woman named Talia al Ghul, who was investigating the Red Hood gang. Jason earned Talia's respect and managed to impress her further by perfectly performing a fighting move invented by the all-cast that even she couldn't master. Despite Jason's desire for peace, Talia murdered the leader of the Red Hood gang revival and, when she returned to her father Ra's al Ghul, expressed interest in keeping an eye on Jason Todd in the future. Someone else keeping an eye on Jason, unbeknownst to him, was the original Red Hood 1, the man who had recently fallen into a vat of acid at Ace Chemical Processing Plant and would take the name Joker. Seeing Jason's prowess, Joker began orchestrating events in Jason's life to lead him to becoming Batman's sidekick, so that he could then kill him to hurt Batman. The Joker caused Jason's father to wind up in prison, where he would apparently die, and faked Jason's mother death with a non-lethal poison to make it look like she died of an overdose. Jason, thinking he was an orphan, was forced into stealing to survive. When Jason was 16, he made an attempt to steal the tires off the Batmobile, managing to get one off before being discovered by Batman. Expecting to be beaten for his crime, Jason was surprised to be offered food instead. He and Batman talked while eating, and Batman told him that sometimes if you gave people a chance, they might surprise you. Jason would take these words to heart even years later. Batman attempted to help Jason by getting him settled in Ma Gun's school for wayward boys, not knowing that the establishment was a front for training the children to be criminals. Despite this, Jason did see the place as a home for a while. Realizing his mistake though, Batman went to rescue him and Jason aided the hero by shoving Ma Gun out a nearby window. Sometime after this, Batman decided to take Jason in personally and train him to be the new Robin after his first one had graduated to a new title, which Jason took too enthusiastically. After 6 months of intensive training, Jason was out in the field as the second Boy Wonder. Jason was determined to live up to the legacy of Robin that Dick Grayson had put in place, but it soon became apparent that Jason was troubled. In his first meeting with Barbara Gordon, active as the vigilante Batgirl, she broken-heartedly assured Jason he would never be able to replace Dick. He fought recklessly, seemingly haunted by the memory of his father. Jason received mentoring from Nightwing on various martial arts and fighting techniques, and met Roy Harper, offering to be his friend in the future should he be in need of one. Being put on monitor duty due to his unruly behavior, Jason one day found a picture of his mother Catherine, who was surprisingly alive. He used all his skills to make his way to the Middle East without telling Batman, in an attempt to reunite with his mother. It soon became apparent that Catherine was being blackmailed by the Joker, and had lured her son there for him. Jason learned that most of his major life events were orchestrated by the Joker, who then brutally tortured and beat the boy with a crowbar, and left him and Catherine to die at the hands of a time bomb after 6 months. Batman arrived too late to save them due to Jason's skills in covering his tracks and was only able to hold Jason's lifeless body in his arms. 6 months after his death and funeral, Jason was resurrected. Talia al Ghul, who had been keeping an eye on him since the 0 year, retrieved Jason and used the Lazarus pit to restore his body and mind to full health. Afterwards, Talia took Jason to Dukra, the ancient instructor of the All Caste, a group of warrior monks, and begged her to train the boy. Jason developed a romantic attraction to Dukra's daughter Essence during this time. After completing his training in the All Caste, which included management for his anger, Dukra wanted Jason to let go of his rage and move on, stating that, "One day your heart will shine brighter than the dark fury inside of you. And that day will be glorious." However, Jason thought the only way to get revenge for what the Joker did to him was by rejecting his newly learned philosophies and teachings. He eventually joined the League of Assassins, where he was trained by Bronze Tiger and Lady Shiva. However, he disliked the fact that the group was not interested in justice like he was, but merely in self-gain, and left them. Jason resurfaced in Gotham as the gun-toting vigilante Red Hood, having appropriated the alias that the Joker had used prior to becoming the Clown Prince of Crime. Back with a vengeance, Jason protected Gotham with his new brand of lethal justice. That was the story of the tragic young man that despised his old mentor and held deep fury for all evil, especially Joker. Through these memories, Naruto also found the place where the League of Shadows used as HQ. It was in the Middle East in a hidden underground city. Seeing through his life, Naruto could see that Jason was extremely talented in fighting, and was only limited by his lack of powers. Unlike others, he also had the drive for justice, so Naruto had a good reason to keep him closer. His rage was a problem, but Naruto could handle it. He was good at anger management. He had the Kyuubi to thank for that skill. Naruto shut down the seals, but Jason didn't move. The room was silent and motionless for a few minutes before Naruto decided to speak. "I know you are awake, Jason." Naruto smiled. He could see himself doing something similar in such a situation. Jason had been looking for an opening to attack. Jason was shocked to find himself in an unknown place. He remembered attacking Black Mask and fighting his gang, and then suddenly he awoke in a random place. He had 0 clues about the enemy and wanted to see if he could get some clues, but the enemy seemed to know everything. Jason hated feeling powerless and hapless. With smooth movement, he pulled his guns and shot at the armored target. The guns in his arsenal were one of the best things available. The bullets were fast, low recoil, and high penetration. The armor would be like paper against the bullets. But he was unlucky. Jason saw all the bullets bounce off the armor without leaving a single scratch. "Jason, we are on the same side. I want to make this world a good place, and you can fight by my side." Naruto stood up and closed the distance between them. His hand on Jason's shoulder caused the young man to freeze up. Jason felt that his body wouldn't move except his eyes and mouth. "Why should I trust you? Who the hell are you?" Jason glared defiantly and wished to pop those red eyes for going through this humiliation. "I am the Emperor of Mankind. I represent their need for justice and leadership. I exist to guide humanity to a new frontier. I am just and fair in my judgment. Unlike the heroes, I don't mind killing when necessary. But for now, I am giving people second chances. The world doesn't know me. They don't live under my rules, so they get the chance to know about it and decide their futures. I know that sounds quite naive, but I am not a soft person. I make sure every one of these scum suffers before I put the fear in them. I am quite convincing, with 100% success rate." Naruto replied in a friendly tone as he showed Jason illusions of his actions. Jason saw scenes of Naruto torturing others and curing their sick minds. He saw those people become selfless, and when they didn't change, explosions. It was a simple method, a brutal method. The idea seemed appealing to Jason, but he didn't know if it really worked. He also didn't know why he should trust Naruto. "I have no reason to trust you." Jason was interested. This was the first time he was presented with a solution to the problem, but trust was an issue. "Stay by my side and watch my actions. I like you, Jason. I know everything about you, and I can assure you we are not so different. My heart beats for justice. But that's not all. Jason, I will cure your father of his sickness. I will make Batman kill and make him enjoy life in the truest sense. Would you like that?" Naruto smiled as he patted Jason's back and let go of him. His words were sharp and direct, as they bypassed all of Jason's defenses. Hearing Batman's name, Jason felt his rage come back. To him, Bruce had betrayed him and treated a criminal scum better than him. He had thought of Bruce as his father, but it seems that father never saw him as anything more than an employee. He detested the man. He abhorred the man for his choices. He had to resist the urge to make him miserable by remembering his path of justice. "He does care for you like a son, but he is broken. Just like the Joker, Batman is a broken man. He is obsessed and fallen deep into insanity. Think, Jason, do you believe that a genius like Batman couldn't have formulated plans to rid the world of evil? He can do it easily, but that requires death, so he never did it. The man is afraid of people dying in any way connected to him. Why don't we fix him? He will become the father you always wanted." Naruto saw the reaction and filled him in on the things that he concluded through his mind reading of the criminals and supercriminals. Naruto took off Jason's cover, revealing his face before pouring his chakra to enhance the young man. Naruto's words were hypnotic, and they spoke to Jason's deepest desires. No matter how much Jason felt he was betrayed, he always knew that Batman would never kill. He had followed the man for too long, but he had wanted the special treatment and to know that he meant more than those nameless people. The offer was irresistible, and with the chakra flowing through him, it was a done deal. He felt the energy increase his stats. He felt comfortable, he felt safe, and he felt relaxed. All the anger and unhappiness melted away as the golden energy flooded his body. He was transformed. He was reborn. Naruto decided to give him the magnetic affinity as Jason liked to use weapons. The affinity would give him minor lightning powers and earth powers. Unlike the others, Naruto gave Jason a bigger boost. Jason, even after all the training, was weaker than an academy student, but now he was strong as Chunin exam Neji Hyuga. He could easily lift 10 tons and move at speeds of Mach 25. Naruto also gave him basic knowledge of his new stats and academy skills like transformation, substitution, clone illusion, earth wall, earth hand, lightning arrow, and basic magnetic control. All these were things out of Jason's expectations. He never thought Naruto would give him so much power and knowledge. All of these things were possible through the contribution of the Inuzuka clan, and the research done on people without chakra or Naruto wouldn't have a way to give permanent power-ups to people at the moment. "Are you sure about this?" Jason asked once the process finished. He had to stay still for a few minutes to digest what happened, and felt like a completely different person. "I am always sure of my choices. I trust you, Jason. Even if you don't follow me, you will use those powers for good. But I hope you will stay on my side and see the world change. Just wait for a month, and you will see your hometown transform completely. Gotham will be a city of crime no more." Naruto replied to his inquiry and started walking to the door. Jason was curious and little resistant about it, though he felt better knowing that Naruto wouldn't mind letting him go even after the transformation. Naruto could tell what Jason felt, and he was happy about the results. It was always fun to win. Jason followed behind Naruto as they walked out of the room. The base was huge and covered an area that was bigger than a football stadium. After a few minutes, they entered the central room, and Jason saw people that he never expected. It was the meeting room, and Naruto had summoned his pawns so that they could understand what was going on and who was on their side. It was to avoid having them getting into a fight. Poison Ivy, Killer Croc, Man-Bat, Clayface, Mr. Freeze, Volcana, Firefly, White Rabbit, Carpenter, Conan. While he had been talking to Jason and Victor, Naruto had made clones to converse with the other new recruits. While talking to Victor and Jason, Naruto also talked to Volcana. For her sake, Naruto had built a room filled with lava, as he intended to strengthen her abilities to a higher level. All these criminals and heroes weren't just there for fighting, as Naruto also intended to get their genetic codes when needed. His goal was to become an ultimate being even before the need for power to defeat Madara. For that he would add everything that was useful. Volcana's biological makeup and others like her interested him as they didn't utilize chakra. He intended to use them as pawns and observe them after enhancing their abilities to hopefully produce stronger mutations. Once that happens, Naruto intended to combine their DNA with his own to further transform himself. It was something he needed to complete his goal of becoming the real emperor. This goal was something that others wanted at first, but it had become his personal desire and passion. Naruto was a kind and friendly person, but he was controlling and manipulative. It was his nature. He didn't fully trust anyone, and he didn't really have strong emotions. He was just and fair in everything. Family, friend, or an enemy, he would treat them according to his belief. Justice to all in equal measures. It didn't matter if it was his own blood or not. He was a playful person and slightly sadistic person, but he never made compromises or sacrifices. He was the ideal male. His looks were enchanting. His voice was soothing and powerful. Everything about him was shaped to make him the ideal leader of the world, and many powerful beings had worked on this human project. His goal of becoming the ultimate being aligned with Orochimaru, an enemy that had submitted to him just few months before the pain fight. The thought that Orochimaru and some of his traits matched was truly not a fun thought. But he would have loved to have the snake around for these projects. The man was a genius and master of genetic manipulation. With him around, Naruto wouldn't have to worry about things going wrong. Nonetheless, reality wasn't always ideal, and he had to make do with what he had on hand. Leaving those thoughts behind, Naruto looked at the lost woman. She was easy on the eyes like Temari and Anko, but she was missing a lot in the mental department. Regardless, she would learn. With a thought, her seals deactivated and Volcana woke up with fiery rage. Volcana had a trauma about waking up at random places after what the government had done to her, so her reaction was predictable. Her flames reached 5,000 degrees Celsius, but Naruto didn't even feel them as they were too weak for him, especially to his armor. "Are you done, Claire?" Naruto stood there without any movement as she showered him with flames. Seeing the futility of her actions angered her, and she was reminded of the super duo, Superman and Supergirl. "Who the hell are you?" Claire demanded as she stopped attacking him but remained very. "I am your ruler from now on. You can call me Emperor, and I represent the will of humanity. Do you understand why you are here now, Claire?" Naruto replied calmly as he walked closer to the woman. Are you going to punish me?" Claire wanted to take him as a joke. His title of emperor felt too empty without an empire. But his voice and presence was undeniable. She licked her lips and stared defiantly at him. Yes, I will punish you and then we will work together to make this world a better place. Claire, I know you are lost. You feel abandoned and frustrated, aimless. I give you an oath that you will have a place on my side. I will help you live a happy life, and I will give you a purpose. How does that sound? Naruto replied as he placed his hand on her cheek and looked into her eyes. His voice felt too sweet and enchanting. She saw what Naruto wanted. She skimmed through many things in life and found her desire to become part of fashion, a model. She always liked dressing up and showing off her good looks, but had forgotten such things because of the criminal life she had fallen into. I would like that, but… Claire didn't have a chance to continue as Naruto took her into his arms and kissed her on the lips. Women were emotional, more than men. Naruto liked beautiful women and he wanted complete control, so it worked out for him to act in such a way. For most of his female followers, he made them fall for him. He made them desire him. It was one of the strongest motivations and cause of loyalty. It was a scum-like move, but it was the best way to handle it and he didn't mind entertaining their interests. Claire was completely lost to the world and stuck to him like her life depended on it. The kiss melted away every negative thing. She felt happy and fulfilled in his arms. She was overwhelmed by the pleasure and couldn't even think. The kiss went on for 5 minutes and Naruto stopped. It wasn't just the pleasure, as Naruto had poured lava chakra into her body and given her a boost in power. It took Claire a few minutes to catch herself, and she didn't move away from him. It was the first time she felt so comfortable around someone. Is this another reason for me to follow? Claire asked as she looked at the mask face, wondering what he looked like. The kiss and his voice had given her very high expectations. It is, if you want to be so. This was not all of it as you were unable to handle the whole thing. Do you really trust me with this power? Claire could feel the power. She felt invincible. She felt like the world could be lit up with a thought. I trust my judgment. I know you will not dare act out of line. There is happiness and pleasure with my approval, only death and suffering with my disapproval. Understood? Naruto replied as his hand moved through her orange hair. It was his favorite color. Claire felt his affection and killer intent. She definitely wanted the first and not the second. I understand. What do you need of me? Claire asked as she still didn't know any details. We will talk about it once you wake up. Naruto smiled as Claire fell into her punishment. Fortunate for her, she wasn't too bad or her suffering would have been great. With that, the clone disappeared, and Naruto recovered one of his parallel mind slots. At the same time, another Naruto woke up Firefly. The man was still in his suit and woke up acting normal. He was used to taking orders from people, so he didn't react violently towards someone that could kidnap in such a manner. How can I be of service? Firefly asked his armored client, suppressing the dread inside his heart. He was quite terrified being in this position. Naruto looked at the human scum that enjoyed watching people burn, especially children. Nothing much, I want your life. I want you to repay the debt born from your crimes against humanity. From this day forth you will serve without any hesitations. This is your second chance at life, one mistake and you won't live through it, Naruto replied as he slammed Firefly against the floor by his neck. It was an impact that could have easily killed him, but Naruto controlled his actions to only break some of his bones. Hearing those words and feeling the pain, Firefly felt his fear levels increase dramatically. He felt like death was staring at him. Yes, I will do anything. Please don't kill me. Unlike the others, Firefly was cowardly and didn't have the guts to fight against strong foes or stare death in the eyes. Your consent was never required. You will serve and you will change. This is your second chance, so relax and let us make the best of it. You want a comfortable life with your singer girlfriend? No problem. I can arrange that. I can make you famous and powerful. You will be remembered as a hero. That is where I will lead you. A happy and successful life. Naruto finished up the talk with the temptations with his powerful voice and powers. Just like all the other victims of his whispers, Firefly fell to his words and seeds of loyalty were planted. With that taken care of, Naruto gave him the fire chakra and the punishment. Firefly, just like Victor and Man-Bat, was a science guy. He had the capability to make such gear and utilize it. With the resources and help from other intelligent beings, he would go even beyond. It was the reason why Naruto took him in. Before disappearing, Naruto also cured his pyromania. It was the reason for his fall. He just loved seeing things burn. Finishing up with Jaina, Naruto walked to the only other guest that he could like other than Jason. Even Jaina came third on the list because she had acted terribly by letting criminals out to cause mayhem. The motive might have been good, but the methods were unacceptable. Jenna, also called the Carpenter, came second as she was more like a thief. She only ended up working for criminals as they liked her skills. To her it was easy money, so she worked with criminals and built them secret bases with traps and such. Jenna was an orphan, and had no one to support or get support from. She wasn't someone selfless, she was selfish and greedy. These were qualities expected in criminals, so there was no surprise there. With a thought, the brown-skinned beauty with large proportions in the right places woke up. There was no denying that she was an attractive woman, and just like the rest, Naruto intended to make her serve him. Naruto took his seat in the large room that gave a classy look, and was made for people of noble background. Jenna woke up with a start and looked to the side. She saw Naruto and turned around, and went back to sleep. Her reaction was surprising and made him chuckle. Jenna, this isn't a dream. Naruto spoke in a friendly tone as he looked at the woman trying to sleep. I know, so I was just making sure. I am warning you, I am expert with these tools. Jenna stood up on the bed and took hold of her nail gun and portable electric saw. Looking at the feisty woman, Naruto smiled. Relax, Jenna. I want to hire you and give you a safe place in this world. Naruto spoke with power in his voice to help her relax and feel safe. He gave her the basic information that everyone got, so she could see the proper picture. Jenna realized that her tools weren't going to even scratch the man and sat down like a good girl. His voice and mannerism also helped to give a good image. It was the first time she was taken by some super being of such caliber and attitude. Looking at the screens showing his actions, it wasn't hard for her to guess that change would take place. The man was damn scary. He sounded and looked so nice, but his actions were extremely cruel. From his tone, it wasn't hard to tell that he didn't even consider criminals human. Nonetheless, Jenna didn't feel scared. He was just too convincing and knew her like an open book. Okay, I can see what you are doing and it looks achievable. But why do you want me to stay? Jenna understood everything except the reason for her staying. She was a normal human with building skills, that's it. I like having my place look beautiful, classy and suitable for my image. I think it is not appropriate for the emperor to design and do everything. I want people for things that do not necessarily require my personal touch. Other than that, I believe that you are talented and worth cultivating. I also find you attractive and wish to keep you safe. You have enemies, Jenna. Staying with me is the safe choice. Naruto answered her question. It was the truth. Naruto didn't handle weak enemies personally and had his servants deal with them. He had all these servants to keep his leadership skills sharp and not get used to working alone. He was not a soldier or an assassin, he was the emperor. Jenna blinked continuously, as she didn't expect to get praised for her looks and skills from such a man. His voice made it hard to deny his words, and she liked to think it was the truth. Hearing his words, she couldn't deny them logically either. He was the emperor according to his words, and truly no top dog had ever been seen making things with their own hands when the workforce was available. It was not good for PR. Let's say I agree, so do I have to stay inside all the time? No, you are free to move around after the training. You will just have to move around in a different form to avoid getting caught. From now on, your real form will be associated to me. Is that good enough? So if I do well, I get unlimited wealth and large mansions? Yes, you will be my personal architect and get the suitable compensation as long as you keep working hard. I dislike slackers, so your looks won't save you from the boot if I find you slipping. Naruto replied as he got up and walked closer. Jenna looked at the extended hand and took it without hesitation. This was the best offer she had ever gotten in her life. Unlimited riches were just too good to turn down, and there was also safety. I agree with the arrangement, Jenna said before she found herself overtaken by pleasure. She found Naruto physically attractive. His voice, looks and mannerism were that good. But she wasn't the type to indulge in such things, and was mostly taken by material possessions. Regardless, Naruto's magic touch was undeniable, and Jenna found desire flooding her system. I said I find you attractive, Jenna. Naruto held her tightly, and he enjoyed the experience as well. Jenna didn't have the energy to remove herself from his embrace, and she didn't even feel like it. She really wanted to kick him for the kiss. It made her thirsty, extremely so. She knew what he was doing, and it was hard to resist playing into his hands. Are you gonna take me or what? Ha ha ha. I thought you were not into such things. How would I do that when you go and do this? Jenna complained openly as she looked him in the eyes. She was acting like usual now that the situation was clear. I guess you were right, but think it through because you will never leave my side once it happens. You will get addicted to me, would you like that? Naruto asked as his roamed her beautiful form, his words and eyes extremely enchanting. Jenna felt her reason fight against her desire. Naruto smiled and gave her another kiss that sent her to the dream world. Naruto poured wood-style chakra into Jenna so she could do her job to the best of her abilities. He also gave her memories of infrastructure he had witnessed to give her another boost. Other than not wanting to do it personally, talent was also a thing. Naruto could get the memories of people, but he didn't get their talents. If he was better than the owner of the memory, he would perform better. On the other hand, if he didn't have the talent for the field, he would do worse than the owner of the memory. He could copy everything done in the memories most of the time, but without talent and proper work put into it, he would not innovate and he would just copy. With the talk finished, Naruto disappeared, and there was only one clone left in the base. The guest got an hour to take everything before Naruto had a talk with Jason and brought him to the meeting room. Good evening, my loyal servants, I hope you understand where you stand. Naruto greeting them all and took a seat. His armor disappeared and the rest finally saw his human form. Jason sat on his right and Conan on his left. Everyone was in their real form and not their public forms. All of them took in his looks and the girls were definitely pleased with it, even more when they learned that there was more to come. Killer Croc didn't say a thing as he sat down. He was pleased with his new appearance and power. The punishment was also a good reminder why he shouldn't mess with his new boss. Every second he had experienced was the worst thing in his life and he felt terrible about his deeds after being forced to feel what others had felt. I understand. Is there anything I can do? Clayface sat down on his seat looking like human-sized statue. He loved his human form. It was even better than the past. He was reminded of everything from the past and understood how far he had fallen. The pain and suffering of others also drilled through his heart. He felt intense desire to move forward and quickly return to the real world and become a big star. Naruto smiled and just gave him a signal to wait. Man-Bat was also happy with the arrangements, especially after seeing what Naruto had done. In a single day, majority of Gotham had been cleansed from the filth. He also found the concept of working with geniuses like Freeze very interesting. He nodded and sat down to see what Naruto had to say. Freeze looked at Naruto and sat down quietly. He was impressed by the power and definitely afraid of the punishment. Naruto didn't lie. He was one scary and cruel bastard. Feeling the new power inside his body, Freeze had hope for his wife and he was willing to repay his debt. He understood that he had fallen too deep and needed to get out before his wife woke up, or she would be disappointed in him. Firefly sat down like a little mouse after what he had gone through. He was terrified of making Naruto angry and filled with guilt for what he had done. He just wanted to quickly fill up his heart with good deeds to get rid of the uncomfortable feelings and get off the scum list. Pamela was happy with the power-up and the feel of the base. She also liked Naruto's appearance and the idea of working together with him to revive the planet. On the other hand, she was also terrified of his anger and wanted to quickly slip through his defenses to carve a place in his heart. It was for safety purposes and he was undeniably too hard to resist. Looking at the others in the room, she could see that the other women were also attracted to him, and he was intent of making them all want him. He was definitely a controlling bastard, but he wasn't even hiding it. It was an open challenge to them, and he knew that he was irresistible. Volcana, Jenna, and Jaina were the same. They found a deeper desire to follow him, and they enjoyed the increase in power. Volcana found herself attracted to Naruto more than others because she found a place in him. Jenna wasn't so far off either, and she found him attractive for the knowledge shared and the power along with the rest. Jaina found herself attracted to him for his actions and power, and partly his appearance. Conan was calm and collected as always. Naruto had yet to make a move on her, and he was delaying it until she acknowledged him. Finally, Jason just observed the others cautiously. He understood that he would be working with criminals from now on, but seeing them all gathered was different from the mental image. "Have you understood my goal, or do you need another explanation?" Naruto asked once all of them were seated. They were looking at him or observing each other. "We understand." All of them echoed except Jason and Conan. None of them were used to Naruto and didn't know how to deal with him yet. So, they were playing it safe and not acting out of line. "I have gathered you here to let you know about your teammates. All of you will work together and help each other out. I won't tolerate any of you fighting each other or making trouble. For now, all of you will go through training to get used to the new power. Once the training is over, you will operate in the outside world according to my commands. You will fight and kidnap criminals that I intend to recruit. You will only kill when I tell you to kill." "Jason?" Naruto told them about his current plan for them. Jason raised his hand. "Who are we going to kill? Once our group has been established in a city and our message has spread, then you are allowed to kill every criminal in that city if they haven't changed their ways. Second chances are for people who don't know us and have no reason to feel threatened by our message. Even among people that get second chances, they die the moment any of them breaks a rule." Naruto replied calmly, and all of them felt the urge to find the bomb on their body. They knew that explosives were planted them. It was terrifying not knowing where it was located and how it worked. Moving on from that fear, Pamela spoke up. "Does that mean we will have to out our lives on the line to incapacitate others? What about the heroes and the security forces? How do we deal with them?" Pamela and the others did feel guilty for their actions and had many reasons to follow Naruto's vision, but putting their lives on the line for criminals was taking it too far. Some of them looked down and some looked straight at him, confirming that all of them had similar thoughts. "You will have to face danger, but I will always be there for you. In the case of powerful enemies, you will have my direct support. I have no wish to have any of you killed in such a way. That would make me a terrible leader. You will fight and you will win. I will make sure of that. We will try to avoid getting into conflicts with the heroes and the government most of the time. Though a fight with them is inevitable, you are not allowed to kill any one of them until ordered to do so. With how you are moving, Emperor, the suicide squad and such will definitely be dispatched. Is this place really safe? The Enchantress can easily find her targets if she has a clue." Croc spoke up about his former gig and was worried about getting caught again. He couldn't tell where they were at the moment, but the safety was unknown. "You don't have to stress yourselves over such minor things. All of you have teleportation tags on your body, so I can move you anywhere I desire. This place is protected by the spirit of the world and other magical techniques. And, just in case of emergencies, there are multiple secret bases around the country." Croc nodded. He felt better about that, and saw that the leader was taking in many things into consideration. He wasn't being arrogant and careless. "Are we going to stay here until practice is done, or we are allowed to move around normally?" Volcana asked as she really didn't like being imprisoned in any place. "You are allowed to move around normally. Practice isn't a 24-hour thing, so you can live outside the base with your new appearances. Is it really safe for us to do that, or should we wait till later?" Clayface asked. He was itching to start over, but he wanted to be careful. "There is no problem. Just avoid using your powers in your new forms. These are there to give you a hidden identity and avoid detection. I have already prepared apartments for all of you, so you can visit them tomorrow." Your financial needs are also taken care of to a level I approve of. Right now you are still not worthy of a bigger allowance, so don't try to make trouble about it. Will our powers keep on growing with your approval? Jason asked. He was happy with the current level of power, but it was never going to be enough. Yes, your powers will keep on growing if you keep on doing an excellent job. Any other question? The room was silent. Are we going to move from city to city and repeat what happened in Gotham? What about the political aspect? Jaina asked. Yes, we will fix each place and bring them peace. We will not ignore the politicians, but those things will be dealt later. With those words, it was confirmed for everyone that he was going to take over the country. With the question and answer session finishing, Naruto started instructing the team about their powers and where to train. He also had the researchers make a list of items required for their operations. While Naruto was doing his thing, Justice League members had come in contact with Laura. She had gone directly to the watchtower once Naruto left as she trusted them and their abilities. It wasn't new for the JL that someone came for their HQ for an attack or request, so Hal Jordan went outside to greet the guest. Hal was the first Green Lantern from Earth and a founding member of JL. There were 2 other lanterns, but they wouldn't be found together on Earth most of the time. Among the JL members, he was one of the strongest and had the heaviest backing. The Green Lanterns were a giant force, and fighting against them was not a logical choice unless there was an army that could rival them. Regardless, Hal was a selfless person like his colleagues. He wasn't too serious and a chill guy. Looking at Laura, he didn't recognize the Moon Maiden. There was no data or memories to look through as all had been deleted because of the Centurion's device. Hello, my fair lady. What brings you to these dark lands? Hal spoke in a friendly tone as he saw Laura and found her charming. Hal was a ladies' man and had many flings. Laura smiled at those words before feeling a little bit sad. She had known Hal for 2 years and now the man didn't even know her. I am the Moon Maiden, and I have come to you for help. It is a serious situation that the Justice League needs to be aware of. Laura pushed down her discomfort and appealed to Hal in an honest and sincere tone. Moon Maiden? The name doesn't ring a bell. Hal thought about it, but nothing. Regardless, it was his duty to listen. Okay, I will take you to the meeting room, Hal said after a moment with a friendly smile, and Laura was guided to the Public Hall of Justice instead of the Watchtower since they didn't want it getting destroyed or hacked. Laura didn't show any sign of surprise or annoyance from being brought to the Hall of Justice. She knew how the team operated and walked into the room without Hal's guidance. Inside the room, Aquaman was present along with Martian Manhunter, and Batman was listening while working on something else. Majority of the members were busy elsewhere and would be informed when needed. Batman was the core member of the JL with Superman and was the mind of the group, so most meetings needed his presence to feel complete, though even without him the present members could handle it. Laura took in the sight of the members and smiled with nostalgia. They really hadn't changed at all in these years. It looks like you know us a lot, young lady. Aquaman, also known as Arthur, spoke as he saw her expression. He was the king of Atlantis and was rarely available for league business. He was present to get away from his possessive wife and the stressful work for a moment. He had lived most of his life on the surface, so he went out of the water to chill when stress reached high levels. Regardless, Arthur was good at reading people because of his experience and was a strategic mind on the team. Eminem, also known as John Jones, also picked on that clue because of his telepathic abilities. The rest of the team also agreed to the point, and Batman's attention shifted to Laura. That is true, I know all of you and you know me as well. I have worked with the Justice League for 2 years and learned under most of you. I was the Moon Maiden that helped guide humanity to a better future. But all of that changed when my nemesis started erasing people with his device. The man is called Centurion, and he has existed since the Roman Empire. He has always tried to take over humanity, but he couldn't because of many factors. Somehow he managed to create a device that erased people from reality. He started using it on heroes, and we came into conflict. I took him up in the sky and caused the device to explode. This deleted us from reality. It was supposed to, but I returned and I think he is also back. I wish I could handle him alone, but I am not strong or competent enough for such a task. Laura was happy that they could pick up on the body language and tone. She told them everything that they needed to know about what happened and the threat. The moment erasing from reality was mentioned, all attention was on Laura. That was not something to jest about. You are back, but we don't have memories about you. Is it just us or everyone else? Batman asked as his mind had fully shifted to her now. Laura was happy to see that, as Batman could definitely handle the problem. It is everyone. I visited my family and looked for any remains, but there was nothing. My existence from the world is gone, and the same for the Centurion. There is nothing about him, even though he used to be part of the history books. His name is Valkus and he was in the JL database before the incident, Laura replied as she looked at him with hope-filled gaze. Batman did a check and just as she said, nothing. It was a good story, but there was nothing to prove it. It could easily be a trap. It could be the truth. But with the lack of any evidence, it was a gamble with 50-50 ratios. Your request has been heard, but it lacks evidence. Moon Maiden, can you prove any of your claims? Just like she had expected, Batman was never going to be easy. She knew him and trusted his judgment. Laura looked around the room and thought back on anything that only the group would know. Green Lantern was in a relationship with Star Sapphire. Batman has romantic interest for Catwoman, and Superman has Lois Lane. Wonder Woman had a fancy for Batman and Superman. The JL is afraid of Raven from the Teen Titans. Flash has changed the timeline multiple times. Is that enough? Laura replied as she only knew so much about them. Most of the other details were common knowledge. Do you have an ability relating to love or something? Hal asked as he chuckled at her words. He hadn't known about the Wonder Woman thing at all. I can tell when someone has strong emotions for another. I can tell if a person is good-natured or not. I can't be a good guide if I can't tell such basic things. That is not enough. All this could be gathered very easily by observing us for a time. Batman put a stop to any warm reception with his cold words. Laura looked at him, and she could only think of mind reading. Should she allow them to read her mind? Her existence was gone, and by reading her memories they could at least form a deep bond of trust. Read my memories, Mr. John. Laura called out to the Martian, who had been sitting silently as usual. Her words surprised everyone as her actions would open up everything, especially since Johns was a specialist. Are you sure about this? Johns asked in a calm tone. He was the last of his kind, but even then, he was a gentle soul that wished to help others. Johns was a green-skinned man wearing blue spandex and his chest was mostly bare. His kind had been exterminated by his brother who had created a virus that reacted to the powers of the Martians and caused them to burst into flames. He was someone who had watched his wife and daughter burn in front of his eyes. John had gone through tragedies and wished to help others avoid them. He looked cold, but he was one of the kindest among the bunch. I am sure. I have nothing to hide and I trust all of you with my life, Laura replied in a determined tone as she stood tall. Do we really need to do this? Moon Maiden, you can just give us the information on Valkus and we will keep a lookout for him. You don't need to have your memories read. Hal spoke up as he felt uncomfortable for Laura. Arthur tapped the table and nodded. He isn't wrong. Reading your memories and your verbal response will have the same result. Your willingness showed that you don't have anything to hide, and even reading your mind wouldn't have cleared you completely. It isn't impossible to have fake memories. What do you think, Batman? Batman closed his eyes and analyzed Laura. He agreed with their words, and wouldn't trust the memory reading completely. All of them were experienced in the field, so it would be an amateurish mistake to just trust things. It is your choice, Moon Maiden. The facts put forth by my colleagues are the truth, and you should be aware of them. I am aware, but I want all of you to know me. I apologize, but my choice wasn't about logic but an emotional desire. Laura laughed awkwardly as she looked down. Her words brought them back to the human side of things. Laura was just 18, and her whole life was erased. She had no one in the world. The mental and emotional drain from such a thing was horrendous. Please take a seat. I will do my best and we will surely fix this problem. Johns walked to her side and gently sat her down. Laura didn't resist and she felt happy about the warm approach. It was the same as the past. She had been closest to Hal, Superman, John and Diana, so it was nice to see that they hadn't fallen. Laura closed her eyes and John dived into her mind, taking everything with utter ease. His abilities made Naruto look like a child, and he could easily cover the whole planet with his powers and kill every living being. John connected with the rest and showed them the memories like they were watching a movie. They watched from the point of her birth to the current date. Laura had been a special child and her memories showed it thoroughly. She had not lied and the threat was something that couldn't be ignored. Valkus had the power to control spirits. He could make a ghost army. It would be bad enough that he could have human ghosts, but if he got his hands on stronger beings then shit would hit the fan. There was also the problem that Valkus could affect Moon Maiden negatively. They would need to find him before he built an army. The memories could be false, but the JL didn't mind keeping an eye out for trouble. They now just had another threat to watch out for. They didn't need to watch all the memories, but even they understood the importance of support. Laura needed emotional support. By seeing her life they could see her personality and her connection to them. She had spent days with each of them and gotten advice from them. All of it was natural and they could see it happening. Batman stopped things where she met Naruto. Who is that? The question was put forth but there was no answer. None of them knew him. From Laura's perspective, they could see that Naruto was extremely powerful and his presence was huge. He made her feel small. His mannerism and tone showed that he was a noble and came from a rich background. His attitude towards them showed that he considered them beneath him. They needed to watch out for another threat as it wasn't hard to guess what Naruto was intending. He was going to kill people. He hadn't done anything yet and he was civil, so they might be able to talk it out. More than the Centurion, Batman felt more danger from Naruto. It was a gut feeling and he had never been wrong. Moon Maiden, I wish to visit the Lunar Villa. That Emperor figure is dangerous, so we need to locate him before he starts a killing spree. Batman spoke up as the process finished and he contacted Zatanna on the other hand as he needed her magical expertise. Laura didn't feel any change in her mind. It was a smooth procedure, though, hearing Batman's words she felt bad about Emperor. Emperor had given her the push to stand up and helped her out of the slump. His words had not been wrong, but she also understood that he might be dangerous. He isn't a bad person according to my abilities in our meeting. Please avoid a serious confrontation with him. I can't guarantee such a thing, but I will avoid conflict if possible. He hasn't taken any step yet, so there isn't any need for such action plans. Though, how sure are you about your judgment? I have never been wrong. Don't worry, Laura, we will handle him appropriately. He is your friend, so that's the least we can do for him. Hal cheered her up with his words as he patted her small back. She had taken off her armor in front of them and just wore a black dress. Laura knew she couldn't avoid them getting in conflict with Emperor, so she just hoped that it didn't get too serious. All of them were on the same side in the end, as it would be tragic if any of them fell. She took them to the villa and Batman searched the area for clues. Zatanna appeared in the villa from her connection to Batman and used her magic to track down Naruto. There is no trace of a living being. It feels like the planet was visiting, the energy is all natural. Digging deeper, we can see that it was Batman. Zatanna joked as she used her magic to recreate everything. She showed them the energy vision and just as she said, it was same as the planet. Stripping the armor away, it was Batman under it. The guy has a sense of humor. Hal and Arthur laughed at the scene. Even Zatanna and Laura gave a chuckle. Batman had a dull reaction like always as he only saw someone who was extremely cautious. There was no clue to track him down. He had no presence. Like a ghost he could move around and they wouldn't notice. Is there no way to track him? Is he a conceptual being or something physical? I can't tell. I will need to meet him in person to make that conclusion. Tracking him is impossible since he only left your presence and the planet's energy behind. Why not ask Wonder Woman? She could get in contact with Gaia. Zatanna tapped her top hat with a wand and suggested a solution to the problem. When people talked about the planet, Gaia was usually involved in some way. Gaia was a primordial immortal being that represented the planet Earth. She was the mother of the Titans and the grandmother of the Olympians. She was the sister of the night and daughter of chaos. Just from that kind of background one could tell that she was a being of absolute power. Anyone that knew the myths and the actual data could tell you that she was better than most, but she was still a terrible woman. All these immortals were psychos when compared to humanity. They lacked any kind of morality and just followed their desires. There was no logic to their actions. They were rarely ever selfless. The only one that humanity could trust would be Hestia. Taking all that in, it was obvious that Zatanna's suggestion wasn't serious. The meeting was adjourned, and the information about Naruto and Centurion had been put into the database and communicated to the rest. Laura was allowed to stay at the Hall of Justice if she so desired. But she decided to rest at her villa before restarting her life from the next day. Batman went back to his base while contacting Diana, who had been visiting her twin sister Donna. Her sister had been struck by tragedy and decided to leave the outside world. Talking to her, Batman got the response he had expected. Gaia wasn't easy to get in contact with and she would contact them if she wanted to. There was a very low possibility that she would even entertain their request to track down a person with her signature. It was most likely that Gaia already knew and had a hand in it. Can you get the information from someone else? Aphrodite or Artemis or Hera? Batman questioned as none of these women worked with Gaia personally and were more inclined towards the Amazons. I can try, but them knowing isn't guaranteed. It would be better to meet him in person than get information from these people. You already know how they can be, Diana replied as she sat on top of a mountain looking at the view of the ocean and Themyscira. Batman was silent for a moment and understood what she meant. None of these people did things properly and always had a price tag attached. I understand. Just see if anything pops up. We will look into it personally, like usual. Batman ended the conversation with that and told Diana to take care. Just as he was thinking about all the new data and trying to locate Centurion using Laura's memories, he got a call. The call had him stop in his tracks. It made him hesitate and think. I didn't think you would call me so soon. Didn't expect anything warm from you either, but that was unusually cold. I see, still afraid of opening your heart, Bats. Catwoman spoke in a calm tone, holding back her annoyance and disappointment. Think what you want to think, but this call must have a reason. I don't see you as someone willing to give until I personally come there for you. Heh, did you learn that from all those years of chasing women or criminals? Bit of both, Cat. Jason might be alive. Catwoman stopped him mid-sentence and threw the bomb. Those words shook him to the core. Jason was like a son to him and he had almost killed Joker for him if Superman hadn't stopped him on that day. After that he had regained his mind and never tried to avenge his son. It had been eating him from inside, as Jason continued to blame him in the dreams. Check Gotham, something has happened and a new player has arrived. He called himself the Emperor of Mankind. Batman knew that Emperor would act, but this was fast. He quickly checked on Gotham. He had satellites, cameras, and all kinds of things that he could use to find things. Using those, he found battles had taken place like he had expected, but there was something unexpected among all of them. Emperor was there, and all the criminals had disappeared. Batman heard the recording of what he said to his companions from the microphone on their armors and decided to call all of them to the base for a proper meeting. Within half an hour, everyone was gathered in the Batcave and even Red Robin had left the Young Justice base to attend the meeting. He wasn't really part of it in a personal sense, but he would feel left out. In the 30 minutes before the meeting, Batman had gathered all the details and gone through them. Just like he had expected, Emperor was dangerous. We are all gathered here for two things. The new player called Emperor and Jason Todd. Batman spoke to the point like usual. What do you mean, Jason? Nightwing spoke up immediately in a cold tone. His relationship with Batman was still very much strained. He wouldn't even have attended the meeting if not for Batgirl dragging him into it, saying it was important. Catwoman placed a hand on his shoulder. Emperor said that the person in the red hood is Jason. And you took that personally? Is it your ego hurting you so badly? Why don't just kill Joker already and get it over with? Nightwing knew it would hurt Batman, so he did it on purpose. Nightwing, stop acting like a child, he is your mentor. Red Robin lashed out in anger because of the disrespect. Mentor who didn't even avenge his so-called student and son. Don't be so ignorant, kid. Enough. Batman hit the table and his voice echoed in the room, but it seemed to only fuel Nightwing to retaliate. Catwoman quickly caught him by the arm along with Batgirl, while Black Bat had almost attacked him for daring to show wrong intentions for her father figure. The meeting was starting on a terrible point as expected. Nightwing, stop acting out of line and just listen for now. This is important. Jason might be actually alive. Batgirl reprimanded him as she pushed her baton into his side. She hadn't expected him to have so much anger left in his system. Both men glared at each other, and if not for the others restraining them, it would have been a fight again. Apologies, I just saw something unpleasant, Nightwing muttered as he sat down, holding back his anger that was built upon his sadness for Jason and his disappointment in Batman. Ignoring the drama queen, we came into contact with Red Hood. It was the first time we had seen him, but he knew us very well. He seemed to know how we fought, and it felt like he was used to us. He was very angry and wished to kill every criminal in that place. This didn't really tell us that he was Jason, but Emperor said he was Jason. He said Jason was very angry and wanted to repay his mentor for his care. Emperor said he read people like a book and punished them according to their deeds. He didn't kill anyone and sent them to different places to repay their debts. He gave them second chances after torturing them in their minds. He also tried to recruit us and said he liked us, but our ways were inefficient. Meeting him directly, I am inclined to believe that his words are the truth. Jason is alive and he might not like us very much. Catwoman explained the situation and the others agreed to her words, since they had heard similar things from Emperor. Before he appeared in Gotham, he appeared on the moon and met someone else. He called himself the Will of Humanity and has shown good manners and gentle attitude. His intentions are very clear from his title. He intends to take over the world and he will kill everyone after the second chance is over. He is very cautious and has list of powers. From the initial analysis, he is supported by Gaia and might not require the whole league to handle him. Avoid getting into conflict with him and just initiate talks if there is no choice. He is not our friend. He doesn't consider criminals human. He will kill every one of them once his words have been heard. He will take over the world and create his empire, taking away everyone's freedom and rule by an iron fist. No matter how gentle he sounds, once he has taken over there is no guarantee about his methods and objectives. Coming back to Jason, Emperor hasn't shown to be a liar, but he is manipulative. None of you can deny that he didn't affect you with his presence. There isn't enough evidence to prove his nature to us. But according to the current data, he might be telling the truth. Regardless, we will come into conflict with him. We will apprehend him and check his identity. If it is Jason, we will take him back and talk to him. Batman continued where Catwoman stopped and fed them the rest of the data. Talk to him, haha. Oh my god, did you just say that? If that is Jason, he doesn't like you anymore, Batman. He hates you, and that's why he isn't here now. How are you going to talk to him? Did you even think about it? You think he is going to miraculously forgive you for treating his killer with more love than you did for him? And the rest is also your pessimistic nature talking again. What have really done for Gotham? The time when our actions amounted to anything is over. You aren't a kid, Batman. You know that this rotten hellhole can never be fixed with your methods. It is your refusal to even listen to advice and realistic approaches that I dislike your very presence. If I had your power, we would have a better Gotham, and that is a fact. What methods are you talking about? Killing the criminals, where will you stop and who deserves it? It is the duty of the law to punish them. It is not our fault that anything happens. You are just a child, Robin. We are all criminals operating outside the law. So what does it matter if we go a little bit further? And I never mentioned killing. Our crazy old man here doesn't have the spirit in him to be involved in killing. Unlike you, I have been involved in public safety outside this hero business, and I see the world around us from the ground. I suggested fixing the corrupt political system of Gotham, corrupt capitalism, and the public safety. We have the financial power and the ability to do such a thing. But our supreme leader is afraid that we might go too far. Let the people follow their own path, he said. How long do we want to see innocent people die from things that we could have prevented in advance? Do you even have a heart? I used to believe that you were a hero, but now I know that you are just another clown. Nightwing's barrage of words deflated Red Robin as he couldn't speak up. Batman couldn't deny his words either. It was harder than what Nightwing expected, but it wasn't impossible. In the end, it all came down to his fears. He was afraid of being the reason that people went on the wrong way or died. He just couldn't take the responsibility for others' death. He was afraid of slipping too far and becoming something he despised. He was afraid for himself and for others, so he stopped others from trying it as well. Nothing to refute, Bats? Catwoman asked as she was also now on the same line of thought with Nightwing. She had lived too long in the dirty wasteland called Gotham and understood that soft approach would never change it. It needed drastic measures. He is lost in his emotions and delusion. My words won't change his mind anymore. But what are you going to do? Are you going to support this dictator if I don't start walking your path? I don't know yet, but maybe, if he puts forth a convincing case then I might. He said watch the changes and decide whom to follow. He sounded very convincing, and I am quite tired of the same old Gotham. Catwoman responded in a challenging tone. She was trying to get a reaction out of him. Just because we don't agree with you doesn't mean we are going to support some criminal. Our first meeting wasn't bad, and seeing that he already knows us, maybe he has a reason to be confident about his words. He probably already knows about all of us in this place. Maybe he is watching us right now. You know, I am tired of acting like I care about the lives of these scum. The government will never do the right thing, and they have never done anything right in the first place. Why should I continue deluding myself of such a lie? If my actions cannot produce any change, I should change them or retire. It is the reason I am more violent against them, so they don't walk back into crime next time. You have the power to change it, but you continue to act like a lunatic. Nightwing, please don't go out of line, Batgirl muttered as she looked at him. Nightwing looked at her and then back to Batman. I am not the one lost in delusions, it is you. Next time just send me the data, I have no desire to work with you. And keep your pawns in check as we aren't afraid of the JL. The group was divided between two sides, Nightwing, Batgirl and Catwoman, while the Red Robin, Spoiler and Black Bat were with Batman. Do you agree with him? Batman asked the others. Spoiler had been silent and didn't have the guts to say anything in such an oppressive atmosphere. She owed a lot to Batman, and couldn't say that she kind of found Nightwing's words appealing. Red Robin stood strong by Batman's side along with Black Bat. I wish we didn't have to come to this, but we have all gone through too much. I agree with his words, and you already know my background. There is no need for us to care about the life of criminals when they endanger lives of innocents. Batgirl responded. She was the daughter of the police commissioner and also a part of the police special force to handle special criminals. She had taken the job only recently to take the criminals off the streets in a permanent manner and a legal manner. Batgirl couldn't kill people, but Barbara Gordon could. It was the same for Richard Dick Grayson, as he was also a government agent in his public life. Batman had a problem with both of their decisions, especially Nightwing. Richard's violence was increasing, and he was framing events to lead to a shooting, even when he had the ability to stop the criminal.